Paul says, Romans 11 and 1, I say, we'll start at Romans 11. I say then, have Yahweh cast away his people? God forbid. For I also am a Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. So Paul was an Israelite, even though there's a scripture where it said Paul was a Roman. Yeah, he was a Roman by citizenship, and he was an Israelite by what? By blood, by nation. Just like Negroes in America are Americans by citizenship, but what? They're Israelites by blood. So that is just another byword, Negro, some word that it was prophesied that the other nation would call us. They said would call us bywords. So Paul is talking to who? He's talking to Israelites in a Gentile state of mind. He said, for verse 2, for God have not cast away his people which he foreknew. Will ye not what the scripture said of Elijah? So God is talking about his people, not the other nations, like they tell you in most of these church houses. See, the word Gentile is tricky in the New Testament. Sometimes it's talking about the actual other nations, and sometimes it's talking about Israelites that was scattered among the other nations and adopted the heathens Greek, their customs for every captivity we went in. That's how niggas became Muslims, Christians, all of this. So it says, God cast, verse 2, God have not cast away his people which he foreknew. His people which he foreknew, will ye not know the scripture said of Elias, how he make an intercession to the God against Israel? Lord, they have killed thy prophets and have digged down thy altars, and I am left alone. They seek my life. But what said the answer of God unto him? I have reserved myself 7,000 men who have not bowed to the knee to the image of Baal. Right. That's talking about these people in these church houses, man. Because when this thing crack off, these people inside these church houses, because what it says in Acts 7:48, it said God dwelleth not in temples made by human hand. So all these church houses are what? They're ran and regulated by Esau. So, and these pastors are set up by the Roman Catholic Church, the government. So what? There's a deep spell that's going upon people inside these church houses, man. And these people are going, whatchamacallit, man? A lot of your family and your, they're going to do what? They're going to betray you, man. And they're going to give you up to these martial law police, these new world order police, when they do crack down. So, verse says, but what said the answer of God unto him? I have reserved myself 7,000 men who have not bowed to the knee to the image of Baal. So it's gonna be no matter what these Edomites do, it's God already got predestinated his elect, a people that's not gonna take the chip. It's already set up. So some kind of way, the Most High, Yahweh, is gonna deliver his servants. Okay, look, it says, even so that at this present time, verse 5, also there is a remnant according to the election of grace. So look at that. There's a whole remnant according to election of grace. Remember, God said, bless those who sins are covered. So it's the elect, and the elect is what? It's those chosen ones, and the chosen ones are the ones ones that they're gonna be set up after the destruction to rule this earth, man. So remember it says, for the least shall be called greatest, and the greatest shall be called least. O thou little Jacob, O thou little worm. Inside joke. Cause right now, that's what we are. We're like a worm. Uh, and a worm, he slides on his belly on his dirt. We're at the bottom of the bracket right now. But what? Things are gonna just do a completely 50-40. I mean, I said a 50-40. Things gonna go from down to up. It says, and if by grace, then it is no more works. Otherwise, grace is no more grace. But if it be of works, then it is no more grace. Otherwise, work is no more work. What then? Israel have not attained it? Talking about the Israelites. Which he seeketh for, because the election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded. Right? And that's what's going on right now. Yahweh is totally blinded these people, because it's a 2/3 of Israel, and it's a 1/3. The 1/3 is the remnant, and that's the 2/3, because we do know 2/3 of the nation of Yashala will be cut off, man. In Babylon the Great, which you're standing on it right now. It said, and the rest were blinded. So this is why these people don't know that they're Israelites. Even if some of the people that know they're Israelites, that don't mean that you're chosen. It says, verse 8, according as it is written, God have given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear, unto this day. And those are the house of Saul, because it's a house of David, and it's a house of Saul. House of David is the 1/3, and that's what's getting ready to be restored upon the earth, is the house of David. And if anybody know what David was doing, he was doing righteousness, man. The Lord was sending him to go kill everybody, anything that was wicked. David and his kingdom, man, they was slaying motherfuckers. You heard me? They wasn't playing no game, because sometimes bloodshed has to be used in order to delete wickedness. So, and that's what like God just gave David the green light, and once he got the green light, he was on go, man. Inside joke. Because what? Samuel wasn't set up for Samuel to be the king, because God, Yahweh, never wanted the Israelites to have a king. He wanted to be the only one king. But since they were in the flesh and ignorant and rebellious, he gave them what? He gave them a king, and that was Samuel. I mean, not Samuel, Saul. So look, verse 9, it said, David said, let their table be a snare and a trap and a stumbling block, and repay unto them. Let their eyes be darkened, that they may not see, and bow down their back always. I say to them, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid. But rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy. right? Because all of Israel is still gonna be what? All of Israel is still gonna be saved. What? Uh, some are gonna have to die in the flesh, just so their spirits be saved. And that's the second death, which is the what? The lake of fire, which is the nukes hitting this place. But they're gonna be brought back by the 1/3 through pregnancy. So the 1/3 is gonna rebirth the 2/3 back into the kingdom. And that's how all of Israel is. That's how all of Israel is gonna be saved. So because they got it, God said this. It said, look, verse 26. We'll skip down right quick. Let's go to Romans 11:26. And so all of Israel shall be saved, as it is written, there shall be coming out of Zion the deliverer, and he shall turn away godliness from Jacob. Now, who is Jacob? The Israelites. So the 2/3 is going to be saved, but they're going to have to come back in the kingdom as little children again. He said the greatest shall be called least, and the least shall be called greatest. He said that those who teach the law will be the greatest in the kingdom, and those who don't will be the least. So these people in church, our people in Christianity, they're going to be the least in the kingdom. They're going to be gatekeepers at the door, while our brethren that's out here that's trying to follow these commandments and try to do the will of Yahweh and try to live by these laws, guess what? We're going to be the greatest in the kingdom. It's in the scriptures. So it says, so David cursed the 2/3 of the Israelites, man, because this is the house of Saul, and everybody knows that the house of Saul was trying to kill David. And she said, now the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them the riches of the Gentiles. How much more much more their fullness, right? Because a lot of our people are falling behind Esau. We're falling behind this devil, and this devil, these blue-eyed demons, it's gonna cause a lot of our people to be put to death, because he know he's going to hell. That's why you think he's trying to take how many of these let these Israelites down with him, man. He don't want to go by himself. He don't want to get hit by them nukes. He want everybody to get hit with them nukes. So, well, we know they're gonna escape the elite, the bankers, but they're gonna be what? Gonna be the first ones to go what? Into captivity, straight out of them holes. You hear me? As soon as they come out, after the smoke clear, guess what? They're gonna be in chains, man, shackles, shackled up, and it ain't gonna be easy. Okay. Verse 13. Romans 11:13. For I speak to you Gentiles. That word Gentiles, that word should be foreigners right there. I speak to you foreigners, inasmuch I am the apostle of the foreigners. Right? The Israelites that were scattered among the other nations during the Greek captivity. They was being called foreigners because they was known as Gentiles, as the other nations. But this was God's people. He said, I magnify my office if by any means I provoke to emulation them which are my flesh. So look what Paul said. He said, those that are my flesh, my blood. So these Gentiles that Paul is talking to, they're what? They're Jews too. He says, verse 15, forth the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world? What shall the receiving of them be but life from dead? Right, because God did cast away his people at one time. But when Yahweh Shai became that redeemer, that sacrifice that he did, all those doors opened back up to God, Yahweh coming back to his people. He said, for the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy, and the root be holy, so are the branches. And if some of the branches be broken off, and thou being a wild olive tree were grafted in among them, and with them partakers of the root and the fatness of the olive tree. Right, because part of Israel was cut. A lot of people were cut off. Man. He said all have fallen short in sin, come short of the glory of God. There's none that do righteous. All of them. So it says, boast not against the branches. If thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. Right, because it's the same people. Because they had a lot of our people that was Jews, that knew they were Jews, knew they were Israelites, and followed the law. And they were condemning a lot of our people that was just finding out they was Israelites and they wasn't as strong in the spirit to follow certain commandments. Some was still eating pork, and they was pretty much condemning them or judging them. And when they went off too, you know what I'm saying? So that's how, because the Jews went off too. All of us went off. I said the Jews. To be a Jew is to follow the commandments. As the Gentile is when you're a Jew, but you don't know. You're not following the commandment. Because what he says, if 1/10 of the law, wait, what is that? What scripture is that? If you break one of the commandments, you break all. And we know nobody is perfect. So it says, but boast not against the branches. But if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. Thou wilt say then, the branches were broken off, that I might be grafted in. Well, because of unbelief, they were broken off. And thou standest by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear. For God spared not the natural branches. Take heed, lest he also spare not thee. Be therefore thy goodness and severity of God on them which fell, severity, but toward them goodness, that thou continue in his goodness, otherwise thou shalt be cut off. Right? So if God gonna destroy his own people, what you think he gonna do to these heathens? You remember it said judgment start at the what? At the house of the Lord. So it's gonna start with his people, man. But the nation's gonna get it 20 times worse. It says, verse 23, and they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in. But for God is able to graft them in again. For thou wert cut out of the olive tree, which is wild by nature. Right? That's talking about the heathens, the actual other nations who God says he doesn't love. He said they are counted like what? Spittle upon the ground. He said, and were grafted contrary nature into a good olive tree. How much more should these, which he the natural branches, be grafted into their own olive tree? Listen to this, verse 25. I would not, brother, that you should be ignorant of this mystery, lest ye should be wise in your own conceit, that blindness in part is happening to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles come in. Verse 26. Look, it's going to let you know who these Gentiles is. And so all of Israel shall be saved. So the Gentiles are Israelites. They said, and so all of Israel. So this is a mystery. We said a mystery to the fullness of the Gentiles coming. And that mystery, that secret has been what? Unbroken. Now people know that the Gentiles are Israelites that Paul told to. Though it's some people that can't get that mystery because they don't whatchamacallit. They don't, it's not giving it to them to get it. So, because what? They ain't seeking. So, that's where that comes from. So, it's not our fault. It's their fault that they can't, it's their fault they can't get it, you heard me? So if they can't get it, they just can't get it. You know what I'm saying? So look, check this here out. It says,